I want to get into the NFL in Week 16, and it's so interesting when you watch the Jets. And with all the injuries that they had, I picked them to lose against the Jacksonville Jaguars. I thought the Jacksonville Jaguars, on paper, were the better team with all the injuries that the Jets had. And the guy that really stood out in that game was Zach Wilson. Believe it or not, him versus Trevor Lawrence. Did Zach Wilson use his arm a lot in that game? How could he? Who's he throwing to? Barrios? What we saw in that game was Michael Carter coming back, running the ball very, very well in that game, and he's been very, very good this year. Maybe the Jets landed themselves a very good running back moving forward. They need a power back, but Michael Carter, he could do everything. And Zach Wilson had the longest touchdown in Jets history, running 52 yards. Fantastic run by him. Really used his legs, showed you his athletic ability in the game. And when playing against his predecessor, a guy that was drafted in front of him, we're going to be comparing and contrasting these two quarterbacks forever. And a lot of people believe that Trevor Lawrence could go down as one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, a revolutionary type of talent coming out of the NFL draft, a person they compared to Andrew Luck, Peyton Manning, and some of the great quarterbacks that we've seen, guaranteed winner. But this year, the whole Urban Meyer saga, some of the different things with Robertson, the running back, but all the different things, back and forth banter coming out from Jacksonville. Trevor Lawrence has had a good year. He's thrown over 3,000 yards. When you look at a rookie quarterback, that's still good, but he's made a lot of mistakes. And being that he had the better team, he had the better wide receivers in the game, I was very surprised that Jacksonville did not really play at the top of their game against a New York Jets team that wasn't where they needed to be with the injuries that they had going into the game.
Well, obviously an interim coach is still going to be a lot to have to digest, but the Jets also were with an interim coach too, essentially, who they just go to their tight ends coach to coach the game. So in a way that kind of canceled out in a sense. But again, it was also a lot of big plays too. The Jets got the special teams touchdown to Zach Wilson with a long run. Those are not methodically prepared for things. Jacksonville,
you were on the 1 yard line at the end of the game. All you needed was a touchdown to win the game, and Trevor Lawrence made a horrible throw.
Yeah, not only that, he also spiked the ball on third down too, which isn't ideal for that game situation either. But it definitely was something that I was surprised that they could have been a little more prepared. Obviously, losing Robinson hurt in that game because the Jets have been terrible at stopping the run, so you would think that would be the advantage to attack as it was. But still, it's not exactly something that, for a team like the Jaguars that still has Shenault and Marvin Jones, solid receivers, that you would think be able to make it work. And a offensive line that is not great, but is still decent when it is healthy, too, against a Jets pass rush that has a couple good players, but not much. You would think they would still be able to do a little better at taking advantage of that. Now, their defense has always been suspect, especially their secondary, but against a Jets team that's that shorthanded, I'm surprised they came out as flat as they did.
When you look at the Jets and all the injuries they've had this year, Mekhi Beckham didn't play all season long, played the first game. I don't think he was healthy going into the preseason either. A lot of people thought he was going to show and return after 8 games. He had the surgery. Being that he's a big man, it's taken longer to heal. I think the Jets are going to let him sit out for the rest of the season and come back next year. Hopefully, he'll be a different player than we saw in preseason in this type of offense. And with this offensive line, that's been horrible this year. McGovern's look good. Elijah Vera Tucker has been sensational for a rookie guy. George Font, who's been really, really good too. Amongst the league's best left tackles, which George Font has another year left on that contract. If the Jets were smart, if you draft a young offensive lineman, which they could, if they draft Neal, if that happens, trade George Font. You can get a second-round draft pick for George Font, move him away to a team that needs an offensive lineman. Look at the numbers that he had this year. He was amongst the league's top 7 left tackles, which he's produced what he expected to produce when they brought him in as a free agent. So Elijah Moore being out for a significant amount of time, he will play the next 2 weeks. To me, it's just been lackluster when it comes to the offense, and it has a lot to do with a new offense, a different style of offense, run first, throw second, and a rookie quarterback that, hasn't looked great this year. This is the 3rd time he's run Rookie of the Week. It still says something about his talent and what he could be moving forward as a player this year. Mac Jones never won 3 Rookie of the Weeks. Justin Fields, Trevor Lawrence, Mills, none of these guys won 3 Rookies of the Week this year. How do you expect this kid to survive and play at the top of his game when he doesn't have a pure number 1 wide receiver and he doesn't have an offensive line that can actually protect him? He's running all over the place. So that's what I have to say about the Jets. Playing Tampa this week, it looks like it's not going to be an easy game. Tampa needs this game very, very badly because they're competing to try to catch up to Green Bay as the number 1 seed. And the week after, they have to play Buffalo, that's trying to win that division and try to still be in that race to make the playoffs, which the AFC is so close. So these are two games that the Jets are not expected to win. If they win any of them, it could throw them out of position where they could be drafted. The Jaguars now are predominantly the number one pick. They look like they're going to land Hutchinson. And the Jets, if they lost that game against the Jacksonville Jaguars, they would have been the number 3 pick because the Texans surprised the world and knocking off and completely demolishing the Chargers.
Jets fans this week are all Lions fans against Seattle. Not only do the Lions win to maybe have the Jets leapfrog the Lions for draft stock, the Seahawks lose too.
Absolutely. It's a very important game for the Jets this week. I think the Lions could beat Seattle this week.
Could.
As far as the Giants are concerned, this is a waste season. Joe Judge is coming back. Jones is coming back as well as he should. I think Gettleman is going to retire. He's in his 70s right now. They're going to bring in a younger, smarter GM to help out and rebuild this team. They're going to have to bring somebody in that's going to actually accept that Joe Judge is going to be there for another year or two. So that's going to be interesting. Saquon Barkley needs to prove that he can play still. And Saquon Barkley for the next 2 games has to show the Giants if he's worthy enough to keep or move on and shake away. I think the Giants really should look for a trading partner for Saquon Barkley. I still think he has at least 2 or 3 good years left, but he's not going to be used in the right offense. He's not going to be used in the right position to win a championship on the Giants because I think the Giants are 3-4 years away from being a contender. Kenny Golladay is just a horrible signing for Gettleman. Sterling Shepard should be a trade target in the offseason. Ingram should be let go. There's a lot of pieces that are going to be looked at where they're not going to fit going through the 2022 season. The Giants are going to have 2 first-round draft picks, 2 top 10 picks, even though Chicago won last week.
Yeah, thanks Seahawks for blowing a 24-10 lead.
All in all, as a Giant fan, you should be ecstatic where the Giants are in the draft. And this is the first time the Giants are going to get 2 top 10 picks in a very long. I don't even remember the last time.
Yeah, because neither Jerry Reese nor Dave Gettleman ever traded up until Dave Gettleman traded back this year. They love sticking to their pick all the time.
It was a good move. Best move Gettleman has ever made.
It seems like they always are committed to sticking with their pick, no matter what the circumstances are. There were instances in previous drafts where I wanted Jerry Reese to trade back. Even in the 2018 draft when they drafted Saquon Barkley, I was saying, explore trading back. The Buffalo had 2 picks. They needed a quarterback at the time. Obviously, they took Josh Allen later and traded up for him. As far as the rest of the skill players go, yeah, Sterling Shepard, I don't know how you're going to be able to trade him. Now he tore his Achilles, too. And there's a lot of slot receivers in the league now, so it's going to be hard to move him. So we'll see.
You're not going to get much for him.
No, you're not. But
get a 4th.
You might be just better off holding on to him and just be.
He was having a good season before
he was. That's why I say, all right, hold on to him, and maybe they could bolster it that way. Saquon Barkley is very interesting because, one, running backs aren't being traded for very often. There's not a lot of teams that need them.
You could get a 2nd-round draft pick.
Maybe, but the team would have to really be their main
Buffalo
pull for that kind of thing.
Buffalo is the team, man. He could stay in New York. He wants to stay in New York. He grew up a Jet fan. Buffalo's looking for that star running back. They don't have a running back that can really dominate a game. Saquon Barkley would be a perfect fit over there. Trade a 2nd or a 3rd-round draft pick for Saquon. Then you don't have to go look for a running back in the draft, and you solidify that position that they haven't had.
Or maybe even take one of theirs back. Maybe take Singletary back in a 4th, because they've had their flashes, their backs. They just, again, haven't been healthy enough to be able to do so. I always thought that Saquon Barkley was kind of like the situation with the Yankees and Gary Sanchez. Good in some areas, certain seasons, but what will be the value? It's very unknown because the running back position is being devalued when it comes to top teams because they have these great coaches that can make other running back platoons work. But yeah, you're right. Buffalo might be the exception to that right now because they really just haven't found anything consistent right now. And they're making Zach Moss healthy scratches all the time. It proves that he hasn't been developing either, or he's hiding an injury or something like that. Now they're trying to throw in Matt Breida. So that's the one thing they clearly haven't gotten for a team that's very talented. And also, I heard this, I think it was Ryan's show. He was saying how Buffalo in the cold, in the snow, needs some kind of running game, and they don't have it right now to be able to do well down the stretch.
Mm-hmm. And that's why week 17 is going to be a big week for a lot of teams, especially in the NFC and the AFC, because so many teams are so close together. It's going to take really the last week where we're going to really find out who the top 7 teams in the AFC and NFC is. It's either Tampa or Green Bay that's going to win the NFC. If Green Bay wins this week, they secure the number 1 spot in the NFC. And this is a big game with Minnesota, but guess what? Minnesota loses Kirk Cousins for this week. So this is a very easy game, a bona fide position setter for the Green Bay Packers to get that number 1 spot where they get the bye week and really solidify themselves moving forward as the home team in the playoffs. So this is a big loss for Minnesota. And Minnesota, who's fighting for a playoff spot, if they don't win this game, they're as good as gone. Losing Kirk Cousins this week is horrible. Good for the Green Bay Packers. The Ravens is a big game for the Ravens. They don't win this week, they're done too. The Bengals, if they win against Kansas City, they're 10-6.
They would have to win because the Bengals have head-to-head tiebreaker.
I'm not talking about the division, but I'm talking about the wild card position for 7-6. I think think if Baltimore loses, I think they're done. The Chargers need to win this game, too, against the Broncos.
Not to mention one of the Raiders or the Colts will win. So,
absolutely. And if the Bills win, they secure position as a wild card team, even if they don't win the division. And same thing with the Patriots. The Patriots need to win their game as well because they need to secure themselves as a playoff team as well. Both teams 9-6. The Patriots have the easiest game out of the both. The Falcons still could surprise a lot of people going into Buffalo, and the Falcons are still up for a playoff spot as well. They could squeak into the playoffs if they win their next 2 games. It's so close, but Speedy, are you ready for the free-for-all picks of the week?
Yep. We will start this week with the Miami Dolphins at the Tennessee Titans. The over-under is 41. I'm going to take the Titans in this one. I know Miami's on a massive winning streak, the first team in NFL history to lose 7 in a row, then win 7 in a row, but Tennessee's continuing to do well at overcoming injuries all year long. They've beaten a lot of good teams this year. I know they have their fluky losses. They lost to the Jets. They lost to the Texans. Okay.
Derrick Henry's definitely coming back for the playoffs, too.
A.J. Brown coming back last week is a big deal at 140-something yards against the 49ers. And, Ryan Tannehill's going to want to get revenge on his former team. And that defense for Tennessee's looked very good, too. And Miami's offensive line's still not great. So I think the Titans will win on the strength of their defense. I'll take them on the under.
Give me the Tennessee Titans as well. This is going to be a very, very close game. The Dolphins have played great football for the last 7 weeks. Waddle is a Rookie of the Year candidate. I think him and Jamar Chase are the 2 guys that I think really have stuck out. Mac Jones, too, but I think it's one or the other as far as the wide receivers are concerned. But give me the Titans on the under.
Speaking of Jamar Chase, his Cincinnati Bengals hosting the Kansas City Chiefs. The over-under is 49.5. I'll go with the Bengals here. I think the Chiefs, they're on a nice tear as well, but I think these streaks are meant to end at some point, and Cincinnati's defense is starting to pick it up in recent weeks against contending teams as well, against the Raiders, the Broncos, and last week against the Ravens. Now, are they world-class offenses? No, but they're contending teams that they needed to make a statement on, and I think they did that. They can stop the run. They're good over the middle of the field. They get Logan Wilson back. I think that'll help them contain Kelsey as well. And the Bengals offense, they can win shootouts. Definitely the over in this game. I'll take the Bengals at home.
I think it's going to be a Bengals game as well. I think Kansas City's played as good as any team right now in football for the last 8 weeks. They've been sensational. The quarterback play has been better, and the defense has really shown up the last 7 weeks. So I really like what Kansas City has shown me. They're definitely going to be one of the favorites to come out of the AFC, but I like the Bengals. I think they looked good last week offensively. They didn't look as well defensively last week with the touchdowns in the yards thrown by Joe Burrows. Joe Burrows showed you why he's one of the elite young quarterbacks in the league. I really, really like the Bengals in this game. They have the home game. It's going to be cold, could be snowy. Give me the Bengals on the over.
Arizona Cardinals at the Dallas Cowboys. The over-under is 51.5. This one is right on the borderline for me. I'm taking the Cardinals in this one. I know they've struggled recently, but I don't think they're this bad of a team. I think they've just had a lot of adjustment processes. James Conner was a surprise out last week, which hurt them against the Colts. And even Kyler Murray's still been kind of limited lately. Their defense, I think, is still talented. The Cowboys can run the ball a little bit, but even they've been streaky in that area. And Dan Quinn's defense is more of a base defense, so I think Kyler Murray running the ball and rolling out will be a good matchup for that. And the receivers, they have to spread it around. So Dallas has a little bit of a letdown after their 56-point drubbing of the Washington football team last week. I'll take Arizona. I'll take them under.
I like the Cowboys in this game. Arizona has not looked good. James Conner will not be playing in this game. He hasn't been healthy all season long. And Kingsbury is right now fighting for his life. He might lose his job because right now the Cardinals have been positioned all year to be the number 1, number 2 seed. They've fallen out of the number 1, 2 spot. They do not want to go into the playoffs playing one of these top teams like the Rams going into game number 1. Give me the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys are the better team. I think the Cowboys defensively have been sensational. Micah Parsons, who I think is the predominant rookie of the year, defensive rookie of the year, one of the best pass rushers in the league. Give me the Cowboys on the under.